How many friends have you made today? Chapter 9. Fool me once, fool me twice. Celestia walks into the dining hall without hesitation. As she enters, she spots both Anon and Luna sitting and waiting for her arrival. Anon waves her to her usual seat. Please, sit. His voice is as calm as ever. She gives him a nod and walks over to her seat. Once she's comfortable, she returns her sight to Anon. He looks over to Luna, and to the table itself. Celestia can see him trying to gather his thoughts right now.
Do you mind if I call for a few drinks?
Celestia asks Anon, and he gives a nod. Yeah, sure, go ahead. Celestia lights up her horn and sends a message to a servant. Not even a few moments pass by before a mare comes walking into the room with a tray on her back. Celestia uses her magic to pull it off of her.
You may leave us,
she says. The mare gives a quick bow and quickly takes her leave. She can feel how tense the room is. Celestia sets a glass of water in front of everyone at the table. Anon gives a thankful nod as he takes a small sip. He sets his cup down and rests his hands onto his lap. So, how exactly is he gonna start this? He then notices something in his pocket. Perhaps that'll do nicely. He reaches into his left pocket and pulls out his list. He sets it gently in front of him as both princesses look at it, then back to him. This would probably be the best place to start, he says with a sigh.
Your list?
Celestia asks, and he nods. Yeah. He takes in a deep breath as he flips it open. The small pencil that he keeps with it rolls onto the table. He picks it up and looks at the 3 names in mind. Twilight. He crosses her name off. Rarity, as well as hers. And Applejack. He looks back up towards the princesses. You already know the story about these 3. He lays his list down, and he lets out a sigh. Maybe it'll make more sense if I start from the top. Anon shifts in his seat, as both princesses lean in. They don't want to miss a single thing. So, my rival could have been better. Anon feels his head sway about as his vision blurs in and out. Why does his head hurt so much? He slowly starts to stand, his body barely able to hold his own weight. Yet as he continues on, he shakes his head a few times to try and regain focus. But still, it doesn't help much.
Wait, what? Twilight!
He hears muffled voices.
Get away, it's dangerous!
What are these voices? Anon is just standing there trying to get his bearing while the elements just look at him. They know that he's some last trick from Discord.
We need to use the elements before it can recover.
Twilight shouts to her friends.
Are you sure, Twilight? It doesn't look so tough.
Rainbow Dash adds.
You think that it's just coincidence that that thing came out of nowhere just before we turned Discord into stone? Maybe she's right.
Applejack adds.
Alright girls, let's get it now before it's too late.
Anon's head is still fuzzy, but he can already make shapes out. His eyes focus on something that leaves him numb. 6 small horses are floating in the sky. Not only that, but they are glowing brightly. Where is he? It doesn't even matter. He notices a beam of light fire from the horses directly at him, and as the rainbow hits, he has to clench his teeth tight. In only a fraction of a second, the beam passed him. He falls to his knees, taking short breaths in. His entire body is in agony. Everything hurts so bad. He wants to cry, but he holds it in. What the hell was that? He staggers back to his feet as he looks around in rage. In front of him, he notices those 6 horses again. They aren't glowing and are looking at him in very human-like shock. Who the hell did that? Anon asks in labored breaths. Celestia and Luna are hanging onto every word that he speaks. They've read the report from Twilight, yet it seems so different from another point of view. They will admit that they too are unaware of what effects the elements had on him. All they know is that if it didn't destroy him, then it meant that he was good. It was one of the leading reasons why Celestia wanted to try and befriend him. After I said that, I guess they came to the conclusion that if the elements didn't work on me, then I was good. They quickly apologized, but I was still mad about the pain that thing caused me, so I ignored them and let them talk. Eventually, I suppressed the rage and just went about as if it never happened.
Wait, what? Why didn't you do something?
Luna asks, and he looks her in the eyes. What would have happened to me if I did do something, Luna? I was considered more foe than friend back then. A single negative thing would have had a lasting impact. He looks to Celestia. Am I wrong? She looks away in shame. He is correct in that assumption. If he did act out at such a fragile time, the chances are that even Celestia herself would have brought a hoof into the mix. He then looks back to Luna. I was playing it safe. It's better to go along with a crowd when your freedom is at stake, so that's what I did. I followed Twilight back to her library, and they all talked to me for a while. I kept most of my answers short and clean. He lifts up his list and points to Twilight's name. She offered me a room at her place, and I accepted. How could I not? It was either that or the streets, and I doubted they would have even given me a choice. At the time, they still didn't know if I was a threat or not. He then set the list down. She was very shy at first, only asking me a few questions here and there, and I took the time to answer, as well as ask a few questions of my own. Celestia looks at Anon's hand as it clenches some. And then, that day happened. He lets out a shaky breath. It started out like any other day. She asked me a few questions, and I tried to answer, and the more and more I couldn't answer, the more she started to push. And before I knew it, I was being lifted from my seat in her magic, and she took me into her basement. I told her to put me down, but she didn't even respond. Celestia scoots over to Anon, and places a wing on his back to comfort him. He gives her a quick nod. She strapped me to a table, mumbling to herself about getting results, and I told her to let me go, but again, she didn't respond. She hooked me up to a bunch of different things, and that's when I kinda accepted my fate. If she wasn't gonna let me go before, asking was pointless, so I just laid there. She took blood, tissue, God only knows how many scans, and I just kinda blanked out after a while. Celestia feels as if she needs to vomit. How could she have not known of this? Luna, on the other hoof, is calm, but dangerously so. She's not showing any emotion right now. Her princess mask had no outward flaws, but on the inside though, she is thrashing about, thinking of all the things that she wishes to inflict onto her sister student. After she was done, she let me go. With a smile and a wave, she told me she got everything she was looking for, as if she did nothing wrong. He chuckles. I think that's the worst of it all. It makes me wonder what other creatures had to put up with such a thing. That makes Celestia pause. What if Anon wasn't the first? She would need to look into this. Not only will Twilight be punished, she will also be monitored. And that's when I decided to get the hell out of there, he says. He lifts up his list and flips to the second page. He looks at the newly added Pinkie Pie. He lets out a sigh as he erases her name. Both Celestia and Luna look to him surprised. He points to the empty spot. Pinkie was the pony that took me in after the Twilight thing. He rubs his face on. She is a very annoying pony to be around. Always in my space, trying to throw me parties. It's funny, all it took to make her stop was sitting her down and telling her that I didn't like that stuff. She, oddly enough, understood. After that, she let me stay in her room. Roommates, I guess you could call us. We never became friends, seeing as our personalities never worked together, we just kind of accepted the other. He then let out a sigh. I wouldn't be surprised if she had a good reason for hitting me with that rock. She doesn't do things out of malice or spite, though. He then flips to the first page. Applejack. You know the story to that one as well, yet I didn't tell you about what happened after. As it turns out, word spreads quickly around Ponyville. Well, more like gossip. So, it got around town that I tried to steal apples from Applejack, and she kicked me. Let's just say that the town's ponies believed it, and I was quickly ostracized. Many of the ponies downright ignored me, or even went out of their way to insult me. Even when Applejack tried to tell them that the gossip was wrong, it didn't matter by then. It became fact to everyone in town. Luna's mask is starting to wear thin. She knows how Anon must have felt during that time, to have the hate and the fear of ponies. And Celestia isn't faring much better. She can't believe that Anon has never told her this, yet she also understands why he never did. He was just trying to go with the flow and act normal around those ponies to just be accepted, even if it never worked. So, it backfired. Anon admits. I wasn't accepted into their little town. In fact, I slowly was becoming infamous. He then flip points to another name, this one being Mr. Cake. That one compliment started the gossip of me being a marinizer, which I assume means womanizer for my people. He then chuckles. It didn't get any better. Nope. He points to another name, this one being Rainbow Dash. Celestia's attention is far more acute. She can't punish all of Ponyville, however punishing the elements should be enough to teach them and even the world that Celestia plays favorites with no pony. Not only that, but the elements are not above the laws of her land, and they will be held responsible for their actions. She's made life a living hell. He set the list down. I'm all for pranks. No harm, no foul in my book. However, she never got the memo. Harm was the least of my problems with her around. Her pranks could have killed me.
What do you mean by that?
Luna asks in a deadly tone. Here, let me ask you A question first, Luna. Luna gives a nod. How resilient are ponies to lightning? Luna raises an eyebrow at him.
Most ponies can take a direct strike from lightning without much discomfort, and our magic allows us to redirect it efficiently into our own body. Any more than that can wear their magic down to a dangerous level if they were to take strikes in succession. Why, do you ask?
Anon shakes his head. Humans are very different, Luna. A single strike can kill most of us. Only a few lucky people will ever live after being hit. That makes both princesses' eyes shoot open. Is that really correct? Is Anon really not as resilient to such things? Sure, ponies are considered the most resilient when it comes to natural events like weather, while other races vary, but they always thought that Anon was, well, stronger on that. On par, if not above a pony's resilience to things. Then again, they've never done studies on him to know. All they had to go on were his stories about his race. I guess she mistook my fear of dying as a fear of lightning, Anon says bitterly. She never even gave me the time of day, so she never knew that her pranks had a chance of even killing me. He looks at the shocked looks of both the princesses. I was lucky that I never got hit, and she eventually moved on to do other things. Celestia doesn't even know how to react right now. Anon could have been killed on 2 separate occasions because of a pony's negligence. She isn't even sure if she wants to cry from the pain or scream from the anger. However, Luna is constructing a good argument for her sister to reinstate beheadings. Anon can tell that these two are having a hard time accepting what he's telling them. They wanted the truth, so that's what they're gonna get. He takes a sip of his water as to give them a moment to process what he told them. He looks to his list again, and his eyes fall to the next name. Fluttershy, he says softly. Celestia notices a look of pain on his face. How could this get any worse? This one is more complicated than I led you to believe. He lets out a long sigh. It was after the rarity thing. The entire town hated me, and I managed to fix up the rundown house outside of Ponyville, and Mayor Mare practically tossed the deed at me, so I would get out of her office. He chuckles some. What a stupid name. He shakes his head a bit to center his thoughts. Fluttershy was my last chance of getting the ponies on my side. Also, I was having another problem as well. He looks at the princesses. You know I eat meat. While it is true that I can last a good amount of time without it, I can die if I don't even get a small intake of it. I heard around town that Fluttershy takes care of all types of animals, and if I got her to like me, then every pony would like me. Didn't matter about the gossip or anything, she was just that type of pony. Plus, I hoped that she would help me with my meat problem as well. He slowly closes his list as he thinks over that day. Comment down below how long you'd last without eating any meat. Although if you're a vegan or vegetarian, yeah, you got a pretty easy shot with that. Now let's hop on over to our very resilient donators. Top donators: TacoCat598, Peter Coldhard, J Tinman, Darkside, Gauntlet, and Only One Thing. Zar630, Strix, Raiden, Narwhals, Black Moonheart, Drake Lovedragon, Pastel Skies, Dospo, Madman Stan, Delta Omega, Jack Cadge, RuneScyther9852, Hunter Norman, Dash of Evergreen, Ronnie Dragonwolf, Ponyman, Talrasha, The Toilet Snake, Sword Brother and Mordred, Ronin Wandering, Random Person Man Guy, Easy, Skyochia, Leslie Prickett, Jordan Peterson, Crimson Kitsune 9, Lightskin, Monster Kitty, Tim Bob, and a whole bunch more amazing people. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and live life to the fullest.